It's Jamageddon as Meghan Markle faces a genuine bankruptcy crisis. And I believe the total collapse of this disastrous business explains why she now wants to return to the UK with her tail between her legs. So this is the new matcha product launched this week. Looks utterly revolting. But Julia Sugarbaker revealed, seriously, the girl spends all her time on TikTok stealing ideas. This has reached a new level of psychosis. And then she produced what she thought was the evidence of actually this not being a genuine new idea from Meghan Markle and was never, no matter how revolting the idea actually looked. Hilltop Jennifer agreed with me, actually, saying that the latest collab was revolting. It's apparently matcha and her loose spread. Surely there is nobody on earth who would find this remotely appealing or appetizing. It looks like slime in a glass. But the Royal News Network called it as ever is crumbling, and Meghan is speeding up its inevitable demise. That is because she is now selling the set of the product, which she is desperate to shift for 56 American dollars. And this is now a full-on crisis, with Women's Day in Australia revealing that insiders are now fearing bankruptcy because nothing can save this business. Sources telling the magazine that there are murmurings in Hollywood that As Ever could be bankrupt by the end of the year if it does not manage to sell through the stock. A source telling the magazine in Australia, Meghan just can't move enough product and she can't expect to sell things at full price with shortened expiration dates. Unless she and Harry have some miracle up their sleeve, there might be no saving this business. She should hold a sale, but she knows she's going to be wrecked over it. It's kicking the can down the road because it's TikTok on that As Ever stock. And you will remember it was just a few months ago when Meghan was playing businesswoman to Bloomberg, of all places, saying, I've got 1 million, we're going to sell them all.
Suddenly the conversation goes from at the start of this year talking about a few thousand jars and lids to we need to do a purchase order of 1 million. And that's a huge jump in just a few months of starting a business.
Well, it is. And you didn't listen to Netflix, and now they've walked away. And Alison Boshoff has coined this phrase Jamageddon because of the £3.7 million worth of stock. Royal YouTube sensation, according to Taz, back with Tash, seriously, this is now a huge concern. And I think it does explain why she is now desperately thinking, well, actually, could the return to the UK, if it happens, and I know you've got lots of doubts, but if it does happen, could that be a way to try and get rid of this product because nothing else is working?
I mean, I think the writing was on the wall from the beginning. I don't think anybody ever thought that this was going to be a runaway success. And, you know, in Bloomberg, I watched that interview and they even said Bloomberg had to do a little over edit where they said that we have asked Meghan to give us her sale figures, but she won't. And that, to me, tells you everything, doesn't it? You know, if she's saying, oh, yeah, no, it's so successful, it's so huge, it's absolutely flying off the shelves, people can't get enough of it, but I'm not going to hand you over my sales figures. It makes you think perhaps she's being as loose with the truth as that source is just runny goopiness. It's disgusting. It looks horrible. I mean, I really don't understand how Meghan can keep pushing that she's such a success at everything. I cannot believe the amount of people that gave her the airtime. Bloomberg, Women of Power, Women of Fortune, you know, Time. They had an interview with her on the stage and they're talking to her like she has been running a successful empire for decades or even 5 years. I mean, she got all of these interviews where they do generally talk to CEOs of big companies, huge power players, people with, you know, big influence. And Meghan is none of those things. And yet they had her on, allowing her to push this narrative that she is, you know, this jam mogul. And she's really, really not. And I think it will be wrapping up soon because this is round about the sort of time that Meghan spends on anything and she gets bored and she goes on to the next new thing. I think that even the promotion that she's been doing from As Ever has been so completely bizarre. I mean, the photographs that she does are just true narcissism. It's just of herself. But I don't think she's really done a lot marketing wise. You know, the fact that she is saying that it's doing so well, they've had all these extra hits on the internet. I mean, obviously, Jack Royston said, you know, somewhat different, but she just seems to push her version of events out there and be damned if any of it's true. And I think it is in trouble. And I think it was in trouble from the moment that she said that she was changing it from American Riviera Orchard to As Ever. It's not that I wanted to see her fail. You know, if she can become $1 million jam mogul, perhaps it means that they will stop their games with the royal family. But they're obviously not going to stop those games. They're just ramping up again. And it's
honestly, Tash,
just
that is
inevitable.
such an important point. It is such an
Inevitable.
important point, and it is one actually that I reported quite some time ago. The reason that King Charles and Prince William genuinely want the business to succeed, genuinely wanted the American project to succeed, is so that they didn't come back, so that they weren't an ongoing issue. So that Harry didn't come with the begging bowl, please, sir, can I have some more Oliver Twist style? They knew that was coming, Tash. So actually, weirdly, despite the ongoing feud and despite the fact that Prince William absolutely believes these two should stay in exile, he was rooting for commercial success for them because it meant that they would stay out of the royal family's hair. And in some ways, the collapse of the business, while we all look at it and say, well, this is hubris, this is karma, it actually creates a lot of issues for the British royal family. But I want to go into some of these figures from this Alison Boshoff deep dive, because I think it's really important to show quite how disastrous what is coming is going to be. Because Boshoff reports that behind the PR-approved images, a looming crisis brews, one which rather belies her image as a global power player. And it relates to something dazzlingly ordinary, the best before dates on her much vaunted range of jam. Because the Duchess is facing a serious problem for anyone in food retail, how to shift your stock before it goes off. For I can reveal that all of Meghan's jams, teas, and tins of flour sprinkles are set to go pretty much simultaneously out of date at the end of next summer. To put it bluntly, our analysis of her recent sales figures indicate that there's more chance of King Charles taking a swim in a pool of her homemade conserve than her selling all of her stock in time. It may seem prosaic, but astonishingly, this jam jar-mageddon could see Meghan's lifestyle brand As Ever face losses of more than $5 million. £3.7 million. Wait for it though, Tash. On her jams alone. Those rapidly expiring tins of flour sprinkles could also cost a cool $1 million just on the flour sprinkles. What makes matters worse is last year Meghan made a fateful decision to bet the house on a rapid expansion of her range, steeply hiking production, only for sales to then seemingly plummet. And this was always the risk. We spoke about it at the time of what was described in the business as a scarcity strategy. To say all of this is galling for the Duchess is an understatement because she has pinned so much to it being a success. Indeed, she is heavily personally associated with the jam range, right down to her handwritten calligraphy labels that adorned the first pots. How long ago those million-jar ordering days now seem? The number of customers to the As Ever website has reportedly dropped to such an extent that some are now openly speculating that the brand is on its way out. Another research company says traffic to the site has dropped by 24% in a single month. With less online traffic comes less sales, which seems to be borne out by the fact that Meghan is no longer using the fulfillment giant Snow Commerce to handle her orders and shipping. Instead, in what looks like a money-saving drive, she has downgraded to the online platform Shopify, which is mostly associated with micro businesses and hobby traders. It has a competitive rate of just $29, that's £22 a month for handling transactions. In contrast, Snow Commerce takes around 30% for their services and are also thought to require a minimum level of trading. It's perhaps now clear why Meghan has never restocked her cake and crepe mixes, which have a shelf life of only 6 months, and why she has launched new iterations of candles which last forever. Commercial jams, though, have a shelf life of not more than 2 years, ditto herbal teas. It adds up to the picture of a brutal reckoning of expired goodies, all of which makes Netflix's decision to sever ties with Meghan's brand in March this year look even more like good business sense. While Meghan said it had always been the intention for the streamer to go its own way once it had supported her successful launch. Bullshit. A source told me at the time the issue was sales. In the end, the product was not taken up in the way that people had hoped. The jam thing became totemic. There was just all this jam. We thought there would be more to it. The failure was more to do with the product and the business model, which didn't work, than a people thing about Meghan being difficult, although I hear there was an element of both, no doubt. And Boshoff says the granular detail of Meghan's sales figures back this up. And that's, of course, because you get to this glitch in the As Ever website on January the 3rd this year, revealing just how much was still unsold after that mega restock in August last year. The answer, as was reported at the time, was a lot. However, and this gets even more interesting, Tash, what is less widely known is that the glitch wasn't fixed until January 5. And for those 48 hours, her sales figures were available to anyone who cared to look. It's not a large enough sample to be necessarily representative, but it does for the first time give an idea of what is selling and how fast. For example, Meghan's boxed trio of fruit spreads, which are on sale for $42, had 137,465 available on January the 3rd. 2 days later, there were 137,429 available, giving a sale of around 25 trio boxes a day. That means that come June next year, when the products will be at or near expiry, there could still be 123,544 trio boxes remaining, with a retail value of $5.18 million. I mean, I'm going into these figures because it's eye-watering. It's totally eye-watering. Boshoff goes on, repeating the calculation for the tins of flour sprinkles, the only product really used by Meghan on her associated with Love Meghan TV show. They went from 80,391 to 80,368 in 2 days. Selling around, I'm too embarrassed to say it, Tash. That would leave 74,340 unsold tins next June, with a retail value of $1.2 million. Happily for Meghan, much of the retail value of her inventory lies in her expensive wines. The figures indicate that she has 6,871 bottles of Napa Valley Brut, 46,428 of Sauvignon Blanc, and 23,972 bottles of Rosé. That represents a retail value of more than $3 million, which will still be good to sell next summer and beyond. Variety magazine reported in March that she had $10 million in unsold As Ever stock, and these figures would certainly fall into line with that. So can the brand continue under such pressure? So it gets even more intriguing. Boshoff says, I can reveal that Netflix, originally her partner in the business and her only investor, amputated its ties with her so thoroughly that all inventory, meaning any unsold stock, was handed back to her in January, some 3 months before they announced that they were done working with her. It means that Meghan's business will have to absorb and deal with the coming losses entirely on its own. No backup, no help from Netflix. Sources confirm that Netflix has no remaining financial interest in flogging her stuff. Significantly, Meghan's representatives do not demur at the idea that much of her inventory will be unsellable from the end of next summer because it will have expired. Meanwhile, a visit to her godmother's bookstore in Montecito, which is still the only physical retail store stocking her products, confirms that the teas and sprinkles are indeed all going out of date at a point between June and September 2027. An order of jams to an address in the US this week appears to tell the same story. Meanwhile, it can be revealed that Meghan's relationship with Gwyneth Paltrow's brand guru, Devon Pedswater, is also over. So it just gets so much worse by the day. And then we also come to the clothing, right, via the one-off website. God, I'm just loving this, actually, because it is karma. But she's also not selling out the clothing stuff either. Of almost 90 items posted by her so far, fewer than half a dozen are sold out. It's not clear, though, how many items she has sold or what money she has made, and those figures will not be made public. Her friends warn against writing her off just yet. Of course, they're blaming the media. One said the Newsweek story about her website traffic falling had a lot of inaccuracy, and I think we can all agree that polls have forever been a source of misleading information. Some commentators believe that the use of the influencer Olivia McDowell in a collaboration points to a new direction, with Meghan stepping away from directly selling the brand herself, perhaps because she is such a divisive figure. Again, no friends deny this is correct. One said regarding the collaboration, Meghan has always been engaged with others who share her love of hosting and entertaining. As the company evolves, so will the way they engage with social following and finding unique ways to showcase the products. Meghan is always going to be a big part of the brand, so there is not a shift away from anything, but more a building on the creative elements. But as talk swirls around of a financial crisis for the Sussexes with their expensive Montecito lifestyle, including a mansion and security, it looks as if the imperative to sell has never been stronger, especially when it comes to jams and teas. You almost start to wonder if the couple's Californian adventure has a shelf life too, which of course brings us neatly to why they want to stage some type of UK comeback. But Tash, I wanted to go through the details because on a story like this, the details really matter. She is facing a financial calamity. And the thing is, Tash, the closer that the expiry dates come, the more difficult it is to sell. Because at some point, if she's a good businesswoman, she's actually going to have to acknowledge to her customers that there is an expiry date on these products, or people will be returning them or saying that I'm not happy with the fact that the expiry date is so soon. And that's why I think she's trying to do all of these bundles. But I mean, the figures are eye-wateringly bad.
Yeah, I mean, it really doesn't look good. I think the whole thing has been a disaster because Meghan doesn't listen to anybody. They said there that she has terminated her relationship with Netflix, or they terminated it. There was the brand guru who works with Gwyneth Paltrow. No one works with Meghan very long because she doesn't listen to people. And we knew with the marketing games that she was playing in the beginning, where it was the scarcity marketing, it was never really going to be a long-term plan. And the problem is, I think she did have an initial flurry of interest from people that wanted keepsakes, that wanted to buy it. I mean, I've seen as ever products for resale on I think it was eBay and stuff, and people are asking ridiculous money, but they're just not selling. People are not interested. She might have had, as I said, an initial flash in the pan. Once you've tried her spread, majority of people, I don't think it's actually that nice. She's charging luxury prices for things that are cheaply made. And once that reputation goes out there, people are not going to keep restocking it. They'll get it for a novelty. It was a novelty. And that's much what I think Meghan sees everything that she tries anyway. It's always a novelty with her. She likes the attention that each new project gives her. For each new thing that she creates, there's magazine interviews, there's podcasts, there's, if she's very lucky, an interview by Time magazine or Bloomberg. I mean, I don't know who else is going to be out there willing to throw money at giving a Meghan an interview to talk about what a success she is, when it's clearly obvious that everything she touches, well, it just always crumbles, doesn't it? She doesn't listen to anyone. And I think Netflix walking away was the final nail in that coffin. It's clearly obvious that she ordered way too much stuff. But you've got to think to yourself, why would you order that much? Why? What part of your brain would go, I'm going to spend millions on all of this and keep it stocked up at the time in the Netflix warehouses? For what purpose? She'd never bothered to get the items be able to be shipped abroad. That would be the first thing you'd do.
Which she said is coming. Exactly, but it's too late. It's too late now.
Too late now. Too late, way too late.
And it's like, you've gone from a scarcity it's like with everything with her, it's the sublime to the ridiculous. It just doesn't work.
Chaos.
Yeah,
She's
total
an
chaos.
agent of chaos.
Total chaos. Jam again, and I like that term.
I like that.
Tash, I wanted to ask you about Camilla Tominay. I'm not a fan. I'm just going to put it out there. I think she's a very cold individual, quite a nasty individual. But she did a revelation this week, and she was talking about Catherine, the Princess of Wales, and a phone call, a previously unreported phone call that she made to Catherine, the Princess of Wales, when she was on a break with Prince William. And I just wanted to know, Tash, I'm going to play it to you, and I just wanted to know if you thought that this reporting was appropriate, and if Camilla Tominay was really right to reveal the details of this call. Watch.
Sure. I got a measure of her when she was dumped by William. Do you remember that? The Sun had the story.
The rowing, yes.
I was on the Sunday Express. I was then told, you've got to follow up on this, like phone her.
So the Sun got the story?
Yes. Duncan Larkham got the story, and it was like they've broken up. And we were like, what's going on here? Because they've been going out for years.
Was that when he phoned her?
Yes.
Yeah,
she spoke about it in the engagement interview. She said they admitted they did have this brief interlude where he thought maybe there are bigger fish in the sea, or maybe there were other fish in the sea, I should say. And do you remember her behaviour? Her behaviour after that was to go out with an ex-boyfriend to bougies in a dress slashed to the navel.
She was sending me out everywhere, wasn't she?
And was that in the disco with the green?
I know. And
the rowing team.
Exactly.
I think
the
I remember
women's
saying
rowing team.
rowing team.
She basically wore her sexiest dress, and clearly William went, I've made a catastrophic error here, and came back running. But the point is, in the midst of all that weekend, I was told by the news desk, as people do, can you phone her? So somehow, I can't even remember how, somebody knew Pippa who knew somebody. I got her telephone number, and I literally phoned her and went, hi, it's Camilla Tominey from the Sunday Express.
You phoned her up?
Yeah. And she went, oh, hello. And I said, listen, I've seen the story in The Sun. I'm really sorry to bother you, but do you have any comment to make about this? Because I've been asked to try and follow up this story. And she just took a breath and she went, listen, I haven't ever commented about this relationship before, so I don't think I'm going to start now. And I went, no, you're right. I was like, yeah, fair enough. And, just thank you. And can I just say, just good luck in life, because I thought it was over.
I thought it was over at the time.
We all thought it was over.
What did you think of that? I mean, it was a particularly nasty framing, wasn't it, when she was dumped? A very quick but personal message from me to you to let you know that the best way you can support Dan Wootton Outspoken is to subscribe to my Substack at www.outspoken.live. Substack is a free speech platform that protects me from big tech cancellation and lawfare. Paid annual or monthly subscribers get an extra hour of content with the Royal Uncancelled After Show available every weekday with no advertising whatsoever. You can also message me direct on there. That's www.outspoken.live.
Oh, I picked up on that as well. That's the first time I've heard that. And it was the way she said dumped. And then it was... And then
I thought she was over, And
then her behaviour, she went out and, a dress slit to her navel, like proper slut shaming. It was a bit like, oh, that's what she did. And then Prince William realised, he'd made a mistake. It was a little bit catty. But yeah, I mean, that is something that, it shows an element of class that Catherine has always had. But yeah, it's a strange thing to bring up after all of these years. And again,
and especially seeing Catherine was so polite to her.
Yeah, and maybe that's what Camilla was trying to say there, that she was actually taken aback at how classy Catherine was back then, but maybe not tell the story about how she was dumped and her behaviour was to go out with an ex-boyfriend. And the shock, the horror. She was 20 in her early 20s then, and their behaviour, saying that, she went out to show William what he was missing. It was quite a catty thing to then say, well, actually, she was a bit classy about it. Yeah.
Tash,
But they do bring up random stuff on that podcast,
Very odd. Tash, I did want to ask you about this false rumour which has been going around about the Duke of Kent, and you've been putting this straight this week in regards to trooping the colour. So you posted the Duke of Kent was not sidelined and ignored by the royals on the balcony. He's 90 years old. He is unsteady on his feet and sometimes uses a wheelchair or a walking stick to get about. He was positioned there as it meant he could lean on the column for support. And I was just like, thank goodness, because everyone was trying to make out as if they were somehow trying to push him to one side, which just wasn't true, was it?
No, it wasn't true. He's very well loved in that family. You can see such an incredible affection with Catherine and Sophie, and even Princess Charlotte, who's often smiling at him. I saw their interactions on VJ Day. And I think he's very, very well loved in that family by everybody. And it just didn't make sense to me logically when people were trying to push it. I was like, there's no way they'd do that. And then my brain was thinking, well, he's always got a cane on his, his right-hand side. And he was leaning up against the right, the right side of the column. If he'd have been the other side and needed to lean towards the right, he would have been pushed to the back. And then, there were too many bodies there. He's 90 years old. He just probably wanted to have that, mobility there where he could lean up against the wall. He could still do his duties. That man has got duty and loyalty ingrained in his DNA. So, of course, he would quite happily, stand there for as long as he could. And yeah, it was just people were always looking for drama. Much ado about nothing in that instance. But yes, that one was because I know how much he's really loved in that family, and it was people really pushing that one.
And Tash, you also really loved, and I think we can take a look at it, actually, you loved the Kensington Palace release of the behind the scenes video from the day, because you said it's sometimes actually better than the official ones because it's like peeking behind the curtains but without losing any of the magic.
Yeah, it is very much so. You get to see these, you know, these real candid moments between the family members. You get to see the warmth and affection between them, even when they're talking to, you know, staff and things. And I think it takes away that formality of such, obviously, a very, very traditional, historical and formal day. But you get to see a playful side to their personalities. And that is something that I think helps the public warm to the royals rather than just obviously seeing them so stiff and rigid. I think it's a nice thing to look forward to. And I think it's something that actually Catherine and William have actually set the trend for, because I think it was them and their team that started initially doing these little moments behind the scenes, whether it was for a photo shoot or something else. And yeah, I think they're really special, and they just give a different view, a bird's eye view, I guess, of the day. But yeah, no, they are nice to share.
Tash, a huge week of royal news. You are covering it all on your brilliant channel, according to Taz. Make sure you subscribe. And of course on X, Tash has all of the breaking news on X as well. You can find her on According to Taz, but make sure you subscribe to her YouTube channel because it is must watch. Thank you so much, Tash. We will speak next week. And thank you for your company too. Obviously subscribe to Tash, but please also do consider subscribing to the Outspoken Substack, which you can find at www.outspoken.live. Substack drives everything we do. Actually, the paid monthly and annual subscribers who get first access to the Royal Uncancelled After Show with no ads, which a lot of people like, also allow me to do all of my work outside of the Royal Roaster, outside of the mainstream media, and I am so grateful for your support.